An applause, a real applause. So for those who are listening through social, through the internet, this is a live sound. We are here in Palazzo Bovara, the headquarters of the Milan Wine Week. This is an important event, EQUALITAS and FEDERDOC. We will be speaking about certified sustainability. There will be a few topics that will be discussed. My name is Tinto. I'm the conductor of a radio program named Decanter. This week we have given a lot of attention to this event. Milano is a city where we can really stay together and toast. But there's a key word that will be the guiding theme of this event. And this is a word which is of fundamental importance for me. And this word is sustainability. You can see it on the screen. We are here today to discuss the issue of sustainability, certified sustainability, how to avoid duplication, and then the impact of ethics. But before going into the discussion, I just want to say a few words. Where are we? We are in Milan. This is the city we are in now. If we think about the peculiarities of this city, it's readily associated with fashion. This is another magical word. We are very close to Via della Spiga, Via Monte Napoleone, the luxury neighborhood of the city. But if we change the last letter of this word, moda, and we replace A with O, then a different word appears, which is a modo, which is way. We wanted to give a meaning to the word sustainability. We don't want this word to be a fashion. We want it to become a way of living wine. Simplification, rationalization, these are the key words. And we like to transform this word, sustainability, during the Milan Wine Week. And we have the patron of this event. He was the guest at the Decanter. He's a friend. Federico. We have Federico Gordini here with us. How do you like it? Yes. We said we have to finish by 12. We have to finish this event by 12. Sustainability rocks. This is a demonstration today. Thank you, Tinto. Thank you, FEDERDOC. We are here today to organize this interesting event dedicated to sustainability. For us, it is very important to discuss this issue. When we started off with Stefano Ranucci, I've been working with him for some time now on organizing this important event at the Milan Wine Week. This year we decided to make something more, to launch an additional initiative. Sustainability is a very key issue. This is one of the macro themes being discussed at the Milan Wine Week. And discussing this issue with certifying bodies is all the more important. Sustainability is something that affects consumers. Consumers are being confronted with wine-related issues in this event. The consortium is making people familiar with with denominations and so on and so forth. And sustainability is something important also for end consumer, end users. They might not have a specific culture and familiarity with wine technicalities, but they are very interested in sustainability-related issues. The challenge here today is to make sure that end users and consumers become familiar with this important need. Sustainability means many things. How can we create a value through sustainability? We have a challenge in front of us, which is to enhance Italian wine, which is worth, so this industry is worth 2.5 billion euro. And if we are to be successful, we have to take the path of sustainability. And events such as this one are of the utmost importance to lay the foundations. But we want this message to come across to everybody, because this becomes a distinctive feature of our wine productions. So EQUALITAS is doing an extraordinary job in this, and we want to take on this project with great enthusiasm, and we would like next year to have many more representatives of the industry attending this event. Thank you, Federico. Let's continue this journey. The EQUALITAS project was born in 2015, and this is a three-dimension certification: enterprises, finished products, and the territory. And I add additional hashtags from fashion, from moda to modo, and another hashtag is simplification and rationalization. But in order for this to come true, we need support from the political world. So we want a contribution from politics, and we have the chairman of the Agriculture Commission at the Chamber of Deputies, Mr. Filippo Gallinella.
Buongiorno a tutti voi e grazie dell'invito.
So, good morning, everybody. Thank you for this invitation. I don't know if you can see me. We have 18 degrees Celsius in Milan. I was in Rome yesterday, and we had 28 degrees. But now the temperature is lower in Rome as well. I don't know if you followed from the very beginning. We are in Milan. You're in Rome, the eternal city. Milan is the city of fashion, and sustainability has to become a must for us. What do you think about this? I share this, and also other countries share this. A few weeks ago, the 2030 agenda was confirmed, and a more sustainable production is imperative. We have to guarantee income to those who engage in enterprises in order to improve productivity and guarantee value recognition. We have to guarantee both. All transition processes in order to make a transition from A to B have to be supported by politics. And the end user, the consumer, you mentioned it before, are interested in knowing everything possible about the product. They are interested in knowing if producing this wine created damage to the environment. And we must be good at describing a sustainable process, starting from the manifold experiences in our country. So Our proposal is to find a single path to guarantee sustainability. We have to enhance all the various experiences that have been made. A committee was set up within the Agriculture Ministry intended to develop a single certification for the wine industry. So this is what we are currently doing. So thank you. This is an applause from the Milan Wine Week. See you soon in Rome. Thank you, Mr. Filippo Gallinella, President of the Agriculture Commission of the Chamber of Deputies in Rome. Let's go into some more details now, and let's call the chairman of EQUALITAS. But before this, a big applause to the technicians at the back. Thanks to them, we can guarantee this connection and this link. Riccardo Ricci Cubastro, welcome, the chairman of EQUALITAS. This is the microphone. Do you like this music? Clip. So before getting started, I would like you to tell us if we can convey some meaning to this word, a word which has been very popular in the past, but let's give some meaning to the word sustainability. We always start from a slogan. You know this perfectly well because you are a communication expert. So we first launch a slogan and then we try to attach meaning to it. Slogans are useful to catch attention, but then we must be good enough and induce people to devote a few minutes in order to understand that sustainability is a complex issue, something that we all perceive in different manners. There are people who are more interested in the environmental pillar. Other people are more concerned with ethics or with economic factors. We can find answers to our questions thanks to this concept, the concept of sustainability. And behind the sustainability concept entertained by EQUALITAS, we have companies, enterprises, figures, certification bodies, and a protocol that certifies that many steps forward have been made. And then the word competition is very important because producers compete one against the other to improve on quality. And without competition, we can't achieve anything. As Federico rightly said, this is the third year that we discuss the issue of sustainability. And everything started in a less prominent way. At the beginning, we didn't know what we were speaking about, but now sustainability has become a buzzword, something which everybody seems to be discussing. And the aim of this event is to go deeper into this concept.
So here, sustainability at the national level with a standard that is called EQUALITAS, established by the denomination consortia, has a deep meaning. So we're talking about a success story, and the success is linked to the moment, and success is never endless, and in order to face the challenges we need to evolve. And one of the evolutions that the DOC wine has been facing is that of sustainability. And we started talking about sustainability when it seemed an abstract term, when the term seemed to be far from our needs. And we didn't start talking about sustainability as the first in the wine industry. As a matter of fact, the British started earlier on, and they did it on an emotional wake. And now that we have a standard and that the companies are being certified, we are experiencing the response from the market. And this is what the slide is saying. In 2020, the buyers of the monopolies and the monopolies launched reserved tenders for companies that were certified. EQUALITAS certified. So we have identified a demand. So therefore, a IGT and IDOC wine is now recognized, and now we needed to have something more, something that the market is demanding, and the EQUALITAS standard can certify a company, a territory. And we have some territories that are working on this, and maybe this is going to be maybe the topic for our conference in 2022. And so therefore, not only the monopolies dealt with this, you can see here that also other companies are starting looking at the standard with greater interest, with growing interest, and with an ability to understand the differences even better. I can't really manage the pointer to manage the slides, but in any case. So, and here, this is another important monopoly, the Canadian one. And now, with regard to sustainability. So what we see now is the social aspect, especially from the buyers that we have just seen. If we say sustainability, the first idea that comes to everybody's mind is the environment. And we've been listening to it also from Filippo Gallinella. And in fact, he talked about that. However, in many markets, the social pillar becomes more and more important, and sustainability is therefore perceived according to the various approaches. And of course, we can see that in many countries there are labor conditions that are not at all in line with human health, and they are more reminiscent of slavery. And as a matter of fact, people, for this reason, tend to look more and more to the social aspects. So therefore, respect for labor, immigration, vacations, employee satisfaction, training, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot. There's really a lot, and we should work. We work for most of our life. So therefore, the better the conditions are, the better we work, and we are part of a community, and therefore, a company and of course, a community and a company do have repercussions in their society. So therefore, with regard to the social aspects, we have verified that there is a need for simplification in our industry. And as a matter of fact, starting from the last conference, a year went by, and we have been working in order to find partnerships with those who had been dealing with the certifications linked to social aspects, social ethics, and together with them, and I am talking about BRC BRCGS, and we thought whether it was possible to rationalize the work companies perform, because in the companies there are various requests that very frequently also overlap. Overlappings mean costs, time, and the need for simplification, and this is exactly what companies are looking for. Companies are ready to expose themselves, but they also need to rationalize their work. So this is what we've been doing in this year, and also in terms of figures, you can see how the certification trend has been growing steadily. And this means that this word, filled with content, measured, certified, and again filled with content measured, has a strong appeal on wine producers and wineries. Let's see whether I can click on this. Okay. So now we have 215 certified companies in Italy. We have also 2 Spanish companies. The wine supply chain, as a matter of fact, is integrated, and in fact we have also the Spaniards looking for certification, and maybe this might be, maybe in the future we are going to have an international certification process, and this actually is very much in line with the path we are currently undertaking with the BRCGS. And here you see the turnover, the figure regarding the turnover, 2,900 million euros, 80,000 hectares, and 1,000 million, which is a very difficult figure to say, but if you translate this into bottles, well, this means that we have 7.5 million hectoliters, 17% of Italian wine production. And we just started, and we are still waiting for a national domestic standard to which to refer, and actually this is our pilot project, and I believe that we can say that the data, the results that we have obtained so far are more than satisfactory. So yes, the figures are there to be seen, to give evidence. Yes, of course, there might be different interpretations, but in any case, if you interpret data correctly, you can see how much work has been done. Thank you to Riccardo Ricci Curbastro, the president of EQUALITAS. As you see how many things we have here at the Milano Wine Week. We have a certification. We wanted to avoid duplications. We wanted to simplify. We wanted to rationalize. There is an impact of ethics, and now it's high time to make that leap forward, so that we can shift from fashion to a way of interpreting wine. So let's hope that now the connections work. Now we are going to connect with London. Is the connection ready? Because for the sake of simplification, as we said, we have a interaction between EQUALITAS and the BRCGS, and we have Kerry Footer. Hi, Kerry.
Good morning, Milan. How are you all?
Buongiorno Milano, come state?
It's a pleasure to be
È un grande
here
piacere
virtually.
per me essere qui, anche se in via virtuale.
Abbiamo anche la traduzione per coloro che ci stanno seguendo tramite la rete. Facciamo un applauso alle due amiche, le due traduttrici che sono là in collegamento. Prego, allora, parliamo di certificazione a livello internazionale. Come siamo messi?
So we are discussing certification at international level. So what's the position of Italy?
Allora, ripetiamo la domanda, scusate perché ci sono dei problemi di collegamento, di connessione, l'ho detto, sembrava uno scherzo, ma speriamo di non avere dei guasti legati a Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp e via dicendo, perché ci sono dei ritardi. Allora, a livello mondiale, come è vista l'Italia, c'è questa intesa fra appunto BRC, GS e Equalitas
discussing about the agreement between Equitas and the BRC with regard to sustainability. What do you think about this collaboration?
Fanno accenno che sta arrivando il segnale, se no andiamo avanti e poi ci ricolleghiamo dopo.
I think we're waiting for some slides to be put up on the screen.
È possibile mettere le slide?
Allora, colleghiamoci più tardi perché mi dicono ci sono... Ah, ecco, è partita la presentazione, perfetto, ok.
So you can start, we can see the slides. You can start and we can see the slides.
Thank you. So, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. And I'd like to take the opportunity of introducing you to the BRCGS Ethical Trade and Responsible Sourcing Standard. As a lot of you will know, the BRCGS is known for its food and other product safety standards that protect consumer safety and assure the quality and legality of manufactured products. However, in 2019, BRCGS launched the global standard for ethical trade and responsible sourcing, which aims to protect worker safety and well-being, as well as their human rights. It has foundations in the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, as well as key initiatives such as the International Labour Organization, the Ethical Trading Initiative, and the UN Guiding Principles for Business and Human Rights. If we can have... The standard has 6 sections. The first 2, Senior Management Commitment and the ETRS Management System, focus on a way a site manages ethical trade issues. The other 4, including labour standards and human rights, focus on the way the specific ethical trade issues are managed by the sites. Sites can achieve certification at a 2-stage initial audit, which is stage 1 and stage 2, as long as all major and minor non-conformances are satisfactorily closed. The standard will be an accredited standard under ISO 17021. If we can have the next slide, please. Today, we are celebrating the first 2 sites to achieve BRCGS certification in Italy, which has been the result of our audit partnership with EQUALITAS. So a big well done today to Savico in Forlì and Lugo, and also Ricky Herbastro, excuse my Italian, and a big well done as well to the certification bodies involved, RINA and CSQA. It's been a fantastic partnership and a journey that we've gone on to get together. So what makes the ETRS standard different to other social standards? Well, we're currently working towards recognition against the Consumer Good Forum's SSEI benchmark, which is the social standards equivalent to the Global Food Safety Initiative's benchmark. Many of you will have heard the terminology GFSI. SSEI is the sister company of GFSI, and which is used for food safety standards. The SSEI benchmark is important because it's supported by some very large brands, including Sainsbury's, Ahold Delhaize, Kellogg's, Nestle, and Coca-Cola. We're now in the last stages of recognition, having been through a rigorous audit process, and we await the decision this month of the SSCI board. Once confirmed, the BRCGS ETRS standard will be the first social standard in the world to achieve the SSCI benchmark. If you'd like to find out more about the ETRS standard, please feel free to contact my colleague in the room today with you, Andrea Marconi, or pop me an email over or contact us via our website. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Kerry Futter, Commercial Manager of BRCGS, in video conference from London. I asked you a question before. Where are we? We are in Milan. Milan is the city of fashion, and sustainability is no longer a fashion. This is a way of living when it comes to wine. Have you ever seen a Star Trek movie series? I see that you all raised your hands. You remember the space shuttle, and there was an alignment between the base station and the space shuttle. And this is what we want to get across to you today. There is an alignment in process. We wanted to avoid duplications in certification. I'm turning to all wine producing companies. There is a precious opportunity to get a joint approach. On the one hand, BRCGS, a world leader, and EQUALITAS. You heard from the president of EQUALITAS. Now let's change gears, and here we have representatives from the wine producing companies. And they are here because they are interested in knowing more about certification. With regard to CSGA, we have the Vice Deputy Director, Maria Chiara Ferrarese. Please join us. Then we have the Managing Director of EQUALITAS, Enrico De Micheli. Can sit here in the middle. And finally, the General Director of Valori Italia from Tuscany. And the weather is really nice in Tuscany today, unlike Milan. So we have the General Director of Valori Italia, Mr. Giuseppe Liberatore.
So let's start. As a gentleman from Giuseppe, no, Maria Chiara Ferrarese. So everybody has a microphone, or maybe I would like to ask the technician to bring a microphone to the speakers. So the very first question is very simple. How are you? Isn't it so nice to meet physically? Yes, finally, at last. Yes. It was necessary to meet physically again. And together with Riccardo Ricci Curbasso, we were also saying the same thing. Yes, of course, we can share things on Facebook. We had a connection with London. This is fine. But of course, if we wanted to share experiences, opinions, the best way to do this is really in physically here in presence, and being here in Milan, being live. This is much better. Well, maybe we will drink a glass of wine later then, because otherwise we may have some problems. So here. Maria Chiara, yes, there is a great responsibility on social responsibility. We have already emphasized this. And you are operating in different sectors. Did you identify differences in the wine industry? Yes, I may say yes, and let me expand on this. So, actually, the CSQA deals with different sectors. The wine industry represents approximately 90% of our activity, but we also provide services to people, and we also work in other sectors. And with regard to sustainability is a topic that goes across all sectors. It is a topical need and also a need that we have to take into consideration for the future. But this is not a new way, because if we think of what has been happening in the last 20 years, already in 1999 we were talking about employee labor conditions. Then we talked about employee safety and also the environmental protection, and this considered as a pillar. And then we talked about agriculture, and this means that in 20 years of certification we've been experiencing an evolution in the market, an evolution accomplished by the companies. So therefore we go from health and safety to security, and ending up with the social safety and security. So therefore this is not something that relates to fashion, the fashionable way, but actually this is becoming ever more important. When we talk about employee labor conditions, their well-being, we are dealing with just a tiny piece of the social pillar and ethics. This is a very tiny part, but very important, not only because it deals with aspects that refer to new consumer needs and new consumer demands, as the President was mentioning earlier on, but also because we have repercussions on the company reputation. If we imagine how scandals can impact on the company reputation, we can very well understand this. So what happened? It happened that the international GDO developed standards with regard to the correct management of employees, and these have worked as a driving engine, like SEDEX. SEDEX is an initiative, and also as the 8,000 initiative. And if you look at it, they respond in different way. In 2010, Global Gap, looking at the agro-food sector, only referring to the agriculture, conceived a standard which is called GRASP, and this deals with the management of workers in agriculture. And in the past 10 years, we have more than 4,000 certified companies, and 90% are GRASP certified. This means that this is one of the most significant elements for the international GDO, forcing entities to face these requisites. There are also other standards facing social responsibility and worker labor conditions in a broader way. So according to the three pillars, environmental, social, and economic. And also here we are shifting the focus from agriculture, which is considered to be more at risk, to the other aspects. Another important indication is the BRC ethics initiative, because if we think of BRC and the spread, the distribution of this certification in the food industry, we can very well understand that this works as a driving engine, and so we can anticipate the requests we're going to face in the upcoming future. So to reply to your question, well, actually, there are not great differences with regard to the topic that are at the core. We have the regularity of the employment labor contracts, the regulation of the standards of working, but the auditing measures, the auditing criteria are different in this case. So there might be also similarities as well as differences. And in this case, if we so the majority of the standards focus on specific specific elements, depending on the different sectors. It depends also on the country, the price of the product. It depends also on the type of workers that are employed, because these are elements increasing or reducing criticalities. And these are also factors where the international GDO can concentrate. And another important criticality is the auditing criteria adopted. So, for example, we could think of interviewing occasional workers. And in the wine industry, if we consider all these factors, we may think that it benefits from a privileged situation, because even if we have occasional workers, very frequently they are employed year after year, and of course this reduces the risk. Another difference is represented by the organization of the pipeline, of the supply chain, regulating all the processes involved. And one additional thing is the fact that the wine industry is subject to the control of the denomination. So therefore, this is something we should consider. And this is also one of the industries that has implemented a standard that represents the Italian wine production. So therefore, having already carried out materiality analysis, having also evaluated the risks, and for this reason it benefits from a privileged situation. So, and in fact, the example with the Star Trek, the space shuttle, the bigger one, the smaller one, giving evidence of an alignment, well, actually, this means that we are just at the beginning of a great journey. Yes, great journey, but the bigger space shuttle is that of equalities, because it includes the three pillars. So therefore, this holistic global perception of the theme is something that projects us into the future. Yes, with regard to this projection to the future, well, this is something I like, because we have to look to the future. And yesterday, the radio people were talking to me, oh my God, it's been pouring with rain, but today the sun shines. So thank you, Maria Chiara, Deputy Director of CSQA. An applause for you. Okay, let's leave the floor to Antico De Micheli.
EQUALITAS started the BRC accreditation process abroad. So let's take an international approach again. What are the differences you identified since you had this dual experience? EQUALITAS is a member of the IMA group, which is a multinational Italian group that operates in 60 different countries. We had the opportunity to activate the BRC certification in countries such as Romania, where we have introduced this type of certification process. a standard is universal and its requirements apply to all countries. But the main difference lies in the degree of maturity of specific countries and of the companies and enterprises that seek this certification. When discussing ethics-related themes, in Italy we have advanced legislation on the protection of workers, and this allows enterprises and farms to address the requirements of the standards, both EQUALITAS and the BRCGS, in compliance with ethical standards. So there is an imperative and compulsory requirement that has to be complied with. In other countries, we don't have the same degree of maturity and progress, and companies have to go to great lengths to comply with both standards. These are articulated standards. They require great commitment on the part of companies, and the ethical pillar takes a lion's share in this certification process. The concept of overlapping is very interesting, in my opinion. The president of EQUALITAS, Riccardo Ricci Curbastro, presented a slide on this. From the perspective of enterprises, this is very important. Enterprises complain about the fact that controls are redundant. In this case, a rationalization process has been undertaken in order to unify efforts. The BRC standard covers different requirements. It's more international in its approach, and it's a well-known standard, and enterprises can get qualified in the different markets, and this is very important. Then there's another factor with regard to overlapping. EQUALITAS and BRCGS can be overlapped. EQUALITAS in some aspects is even more rigorous, and this is comprehensible. BRCGS cuts across all product categories and is an international standard, whereas EQUALITAS is an Italian standard. Another important aspect that has to do with overlapping lies in the audit modalities. The two bodies are working in order to make the two auditing processes overlappable. The companies have to undergo these processes in order to qualify themselves on both national and international markets. Let's continue our journey on this spaceship. Giuseppe Liberatore, General Director of Valori Italia. We discussed this extensively. We've been discussing this extensively. Valori Italia addressed social and ethical issues, but the point is to raise the standards on this. But there's a lot more that we should do in this direction. I liked your slogan, Moda Modo, which is fashion and way of life. And the point that you touched on is of fundamental importance. These are nice words, but we have to translate them in a language that all consumers can understand. Enterprises have already adopted this concept. They are already working towards them, but we have to work to make sure that consumers get to understand the message and understand what lies behind all these words. 4 years ago, when I became General Director of Valori Italia, realized that we, as certification bodies and control bodies, are regarded as policemen, as people imposing laws and verifying compliance with law. But I would like to change this view. I would like consumers to understand and enterprises to understand that a certification is an added value, something that can be exploited. And I think that both enterprises and consumers have to understand this. I would like to refer to what we are discussing today. We have been working on this concept for many years. We were pioneers at the beginning. When we embarked on this process, people regarded us as being outsiders, so we were seen as very strange people, but now results demonstrate that we have been successful, and this is testified by the results achieved. And this has led us to where we are now. As a Valore Italia, we made a contribution to this process. We've come up with revisions of EQUALITAS. This is the third and fourth revision, and the point is to get aligned with other existing standards, such as BRCGS. As Enrico said, having one certificate or two certificates makes a difference. And this is one of the main contributors to raising standards. I'm not going to enumerate all the various experiences we made. We committed ourselves to putting together social sustainability indicators. We have sat down to define indicators in order to evaluate the merit of the companies and of the corporate processes. Indicators are, for example, wage differences between men and women, hiring of young people over the last 5-year period. So we put together concrete indicators that can be verified and which go into the assessment of this important process. I would also like to focus on corporate governance. Corporate governance is not just an indicator of the company efficiency, but also is also indicative of other important principles such as transparency, ethnic processes, ethical processes, and so on and so forth. And our aim is to guarantee sustainability. This is our target. This is the spirit that moves us. Thank you very much, Giuseppe Liberatore, General Director of Valore Italia. But before leaving you, I've seen that many producers are represented here, both in presence and remotely. Thanks to this pandemic emergency, we activated the possibility to follow remotely online, and there are many participants attending this meeting online via the streaming connection. But I would like to involve Maria Chiara again.
What can companies do? Well, they can choose to make sustainability a part of their work, not facing it 360 degrees, but gradually. But it's very much important to understand what's the ultimate goal. Not doing things because this is what customers ask, but knowing what the ultimate goal is. Small steps or a global perspective on sustainability, but this is the direction to undertake, reaching the goal as soon as possible. So I agree with Maria Chiara, and sustainability is at the core. And for wine producers, wineries, who are at the vanguard, it is very much important to undertake this direction. The fact that there is a mature standard like EQUALITAS, which is being developed for years, this is a very important driving engine towards sustainability. And recently, in the Rust COP Nomisma report on Italian lifestyle, we've seen that 1 out of 6 consumers select food based on the carbon footprint, and 88% think that food associates food to sustainability. 9% think that sustainability is also about ethics. So therefore it is clear that sustainability is a tool to increase the value of products, to provide something value to the consumers. And there are producers who will be involved soon. And Giuseppe, what can you add? What should companies do? Well, actually, one of the problems that I was observing up to not long ago is the fact that, the abuse of the term sustainability. Because this is a sort of a buzzword. This has become like a buzzword, right? And one of the key elements, especially now in the wine industry where we have started, but I believe this is going to be the beginning of a journey also for other industries and sectors. Riccardo Ricci Curbastro was saying that we are waiting for the release of the single standard degree on wine, but also this will apply to olive oil, etc. And so the concept of sustainability is becoming more and more concrete. And we need to define this concept even more, because so far this is a buzzword, but now we have to fill it with content even more. Sustainability is a concept that we need to convey to consumers through the certifications. The medium-low companies do have difficulties in understanding this, but if they embrace sustainability, then they are always very happy. And I believe, and I'm fully convinced that this is the future. And in the upcoming days, we are going to present the results of a survey regarding the perception of sustainability, the certification, the concepts that we are currently talking about. And since I know the data, I was positively impressed about them. But I'm going to present the data in the upcoming days. Okay, here we have some anticipations. Okay, an applause to Giuseppe Liberatore of Valore Italia, an applause to Enrico De Micheli, Agroqualità, Maria Chiara Ferrarese, GSQA. Thank you for participating, and leave the microphones here, and let's turn page, because we are going to have the producers, and we're going to listen to case histories. We have 2 people connected in video conference, and we have Ricci Curbastro. Again, let's welcome Gualberto Ricci Curbastro. Thank you, Gualberto. And again, Terre Cevico, Marco Nannetti. No music for Marco? Here it is. And this is for Riccardo at the end. And then we have two other friends, Barone Ricasoli in video conference, and Francesco Ricasoli. They're both connected, video connected. Where are you? Broglio. I'm in the company's office. Okay. So this is the applause for you for the Milano Wine Week, Palazzo Bovara. The sun shines here. Unfortunately, you're not here because afterwards we're going to have a toast to Equalitas, to sustainability, and we would have liked to have had the possibility to toast with you. And also Antonio Capaldo from Feudi San Gregorio in video conference.
I see Antonio as well. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you very well. So here we are. Let's start with Gualberto Ricci Curbastro, and I ask him the first question, and I will ask you the same question later. So what's your experience? Can you tell me about your experience with sustainability-related issues and certification processes? Our certification experience is a long-dated one. This is part of our approach. We've been EQUALITAS certified in 2017. We were one of the first producers to be certified. We represent a special case. The company is a small family-led company. Our approach to sustainability turned out to be a very important one. We adopted a formalization of our existing good practices. The help given to us by EQUALITAS lied in the possibility of formalizing all those processes which were already part and parcel of our methodology, but we've turned them into something that people could be aware of, and this has enabled us to get this message across to the market. Our main aim is to create a value added around the topic of sustainability. Now let's move to Francia Corta, Marco Nannetti, Terre Cevico. Can you tell us about your experience? How did you get about the issue of sustainability at company level? And EQUALITAS started off in 2015. We are a corporation gathering about 5,000 wine producers. And the theme of sustainability has been part of our DNA since the very beginning of our experience. Our commitment is to guarantee an income to all families engaged in this activity. Our aim is to guarantee a stable stream of income, and most of these companies are small producers. When addressing sustainability, we don't just mean certification. Certification is the concrete and tangible concept. Sustainability is also a way of life. It's a horizon that gives us the way to move and to know what to do. And all members of our cooperative so followed this very complex process. And 5 years ago, we came up with the first sustainability balance. Now, after the corporate certification, we are moving to a product certification, and we have opened a list of member companies that want to join in this sustainability project. They've understood that this is not just a bureaucratic requirement, this is a sort of company dashboard, and this is something which is important to indicate future goals. Sustainability is a very articulated and complex issue, and going about addressing it only from a bureaucratic viewpoint is not sufficient. So thank you for sharing with us your case history. And now, Gualberto Ricci Curbastro, what about, no, Mr. Francesco Ricasoli, what's your experience? A company, a producer today, in order to be active on the market, has to take sustainability very seriously. This is something that the market is asking from us. We embarked upon this process. I would like to refer to what Maria Chiara Ferrarese said. At the beginning, a producer may feel confused because of the need to address different topics and I'll get aligned to all of them. We were lucky enough because even before sustainability became important, the family was already playing a very important role on the territory of reference, was already showing respect to all its employees and to the environment. Our process with EQUALITAS was a quick one, so we could get our certification in a very expedited way because sustainability, environmental issues were already part of our DNA. EQUALITAS addresses all the three pillars of sustainability, and this was a very positive experience for us. What we are requesting today is the following. First of all, to have a national standard as soon as possible, an international standard as soon as possible in order to facilitate our trade with third countries. And secondly, simplification and rationalization. So this agreement between BRCGS and EQUALITAS is a very important synergy. And I hope that sooner or later we will be able to simplify procedures in order to facilitate this activity for all companies involved.
So now the word to Antonio Capaldo on my right-hand side. Antonio, what can you add? Well, first of all, this has been a very positive experience. And we should start from the idea that in the wine industry, we have a long-term vision, and we start from the time when we plant the vine, and then, of course, there are consortia grouping the different producers, collaborating, and there is a strong feeling to preserve the environment, the territory. So therefore, the certification is very much in line with what we do in our everyday life, and we have the three pillars, and we live sustainability as something holistic. And this is the right approach, the approach that many companies are already following. As Ricci Curbastro was saying, the greatest value was the fact that we have been rationalizing many things we had been doing so long. And so we have internal stakeholders, we have collaborators, we have employees, and they embraced the same vision. They helped us improving, communicating it, and this is their greatest value. And then to us, it was also simple, relatively simple, because our approach during the audits, the approach was has always been constructive. Targeting improvement, identifying areas of excellence and areas of improvement. So it was a very positive experience. So let's go back to Gualberto Franciacorta. And in terms of co-marketing, what do you expect from this goal, the goal you have been reaching? So let's. What would you ask BRC and EQUALITAS? What would you ask? As I said before, the greatest advantage today is to have two standards certified through one single certification process. And this is very important because every company has different needs, requirements. There are needs and requirements due to the size of the company, and therefore having two standards, EQUALITAS on the three pillars and BRC on ethics, of course, this allows us to increase our visibility also at the international level, and on the long term this is a value added for our products and marketing. Marco? Yes, for sure, welcome simplification, but I also would like to say, to add, we should not run the risk to making this topic banal. Yes, of course, we needed to take into consideration our needs, but it is also true that companies must remain competitive, must seize the challenges. We need to convey value added to our products, and Italy has a long way here, and with regard to sustainability, we can do really a lot. So we must be ambitious. We have to implement processes, the right processes. We have to communicate all this, but we should not be. We shouldn't be too much concerned about being ambitious, because this means contributing to growth. To the growth of the companies. And on the other side, the certifying companies should also certify this at the stakeholder level, so that these certifications are increasingly recognized all over the world as certifications that represent consistently the producer's commitment and engagement at the international level. Yes, absolutely at the international level, because half of the wine we produce, we sell it abroad. So let's go back to Francesco Ricasoli. What do you expect from this? Well, partly a simplification, and this can also be combined with other large-scale standards, and also the Italian national standard with regard to the sustainability certification. We should come to a single sustainability agreement that can be also exposed internationally. And what about you, Antonio? What do you expect? What do you expect about? Well, I believe that everything has already been said. We expect that these standards are consistently monitored. Of course, we have a lot to do, because we can do a lot. And another interesting aspect is the fact that EQUALITAS becomes the driving engine also for best practices, because it is very much important to share our experiences, because we can learn from the learners, and therefore the fact that you can exchange opinions and experiences with a company which is experiencing the same thing, this is something very much important. So I would like to invite to the podium Riccardo Ricci Curbastro to conclude this session. And I promised it, right? We started 10:30. It's 11, almost midday. And I will leave the floor to Riccardo Ricci Curbastro. So, Riccardo, so we can confirm that thanks to EQUALITAS, we can go from fashion to a way of doing. Yes, first of all, thank you. Thank you, first of all, to BRC, because it made this experience possible. Capaldo said it. This is a culture that is growing, and having the possibility to, having to do with also other standards is a step forward and a contribution to growth. The fact that we have the certifying entities here together with the producers representing those who have been growing the standard together with, and so, I'm interpreting your participation that this is the recognition of a well-done job. And the fact that they are here, even if they have a different role, understanding whether the rules of the standard are consistent, well, this is something valuable. And to answer your question, this morning I was thinking something. So when we were in the first grade, we could only talk. Then we learned writing, reading, and during our school years, we've been enriching our culture. And this is exactly what we've been doing with sustainability, through sustainability, making this very important, culturally important topic part of our life, through what we've been saying today, telling each other today. And so something culturally rich. And then culture, of course, is for everybody. We have our own interests. We have our own needs as consumers, as citizens, as wine growers and wine producers. And if we started this journey starting from the consortia, well, this means that this was part of our DNA. And this is something that we have seen growing into the standard we have today. So let me conclude by saying, imagine, well, since we're talking about culture, this is one of the many moments. There are going to be many others, because culture is endless, and in the wine industry, we never stop learning. So thank you to Francesco Ricasoli and Antonio Capaldo, who are still video connected. Unfortunately, we cannot physically toast with you, but thank you for participating. Thank you, Francesco. Thank you, Antonio. And thank you, Gualberto Ricci Curbastro and Marco Nannetti, and the president of EQUALITAS, Riccardo Ricci Curbastro. Thank you.